Gentlemen.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to StarCraft II, Heart of the Swarm. I am Owner's Machine of the Gentlemen, and once again, I am joined by my good friend...
Exile 5 Army.
Yes, the brains and the meta of the duo here. So, this is a very interesting matchup here, because at the bottom we have MoonGlade. So he's pretty much regarded as one of the best StarCraft II players in Australia.
Yeah, and has been ever since StarCraft II came out. Was really famous in Warcraft 3 as well, and actually did compete in GSL and early on in its inception, back in the early days of StarCraft 2.
And as the blue Protoss in the top, we actually have Frustration, who I'm sure most of you actually know, who's pretty much the best StarCraft 2 player in Western Australia. So this is going to be a very interesting series.
Yeah, it should be. I mean, this is game 5, best of 5, locked at 2-2. They've been close games so far, and this is the losers final of the 9th Legion Open. It happened about a month and a half ago. MoonGlade made it all the way to the winners final before being defeated by King Kong. Frustration made it fair way through winners before losing to, I think it was King Kong as well, and then fought his way up through losers for a few rounds, taking out Mega Fonzie and Pez and Blisk, and has done really well to get this far. I mean, he's only been back playing for only a couple of months, so it's quite impressive what he's doing.
Yeah, good stuff. And so, basically, like, after the first game, we'll sort of go through, like, the previous matches, because we had some sort of very interesting matches across the board. Like, game number 1 was a sort of this, like, janky sort of base trade situation, where it was sort of like armies dancing around each other, which Frustration ended up taking by sort of, like, sniping down all of the hatches with a couple of DTs. Game number 2, Frustration went for, like, a Immortal Century all-in, and it completely flopped because MoonGlade was there and waiting with a Ling Hydra army.
Yep, then game 3 was on Whirlwind. It was a long drawn-out Swarm host game, which MoonGlade ended up taking by being up 100 supply for about 10 minutes, while Frustration just delayed the inevitable.
Yep.
And then game 4 was a sick mind game from Frustration. He built 8 gateways in his main, then took a 3rd base, knowing that MoonGlade hadn't scouted the gates, told MoonGlade on the fact he was going to play a 3rd base, and when MoonGlade came across the map to deny it, he warped in a ton of stuff at a variety of proc spawns and just attacked and just killed MoonGlade outright.
Yeah, it was pretty nice. It was like 11 minutes and the game was over.
Yeah, it was really, really sick mind game, because if he just attacked and not built the 3rd Nexus, MoonGlade would have been sitting there waiting. It would have been a lot closer, and Frustration may well have lost, but managed to deny scouting really well and caught MoonGlade with his pants down.
Yeah, so for now we are in Polar Night, so this seems to be a pretty new map here, and I believe it's like the biggest 2-player map.
Yeah, I think the rush distance between the 2 naturals is the biggest of any 2-player map currently in the pool, and it's also got really weird, like there's the expansion behind with the rocks denying it, then there's the choice of thirds, either the one like sort of out close to the main or the one out to the side and stuff like that. I know a lot of Protoss players complain about how hard it is to take a 3rd on this map, but
I can see why.
I know, it's a cool map, it's different.
I mean, like, the distance between the 3rd base and the 2nd, it'd be huge, and it's not like you can really sort of force field block them off like you can on some maps like Belcher Vestige.
Yeah, it's also, yeah, a hard map to, like, Sentry Mortal in 2 base, like, force fields are hard, it's very wide open, everything like that. It's just not a Protoss map in general, really. But
Okay.
it's not too bad. Derelict Watcher is definitely worse.
I'm not sure about that map, I'm not really familiar with it.
Pretty much you have, like, this open area between the natural and the 3rd, and Zerg just sort of sits there with an army and goes, like, I dare you to try and take a 3rd. I dare you. Come down your ramp and fight me. And then you die when you do. It's annoying.
Fair enough. Sort of like the old, I think, the Zelnaga Caverns, how, like, there was, like, no way defending the natural from Lingrung bars.
Yeah, oh my god, that map. Such a nostalgia, my god. Still remember watching like Nest TV Inca, when Inca just went, in GSL finals, Inca just went DTs 4 times in a row and died horribly.
So, putting a Roach Warren down,
Protoss in GSL finals. Yeah, MoonGlade playing standard this time, building a Roach Warren. Always good to be safe with one. He doesn't really know what's going on, so it's
Yep.
good for him to just play safer and just play it out and not lose to something stupid.
Frustration going for a Stargate, which was actually scouted by that Overlord there from MoonGlade, going for a Robo as well, which will also get scouted too. And so that Overlord there as well on the natural will get a scout off on the gas timings, I believe. Well,
Yeah,
one of them at least.
I mean, the Moonglade, the Overlord in the main died a good death. It got a lot of information for its life. Probably wishing it had speed, so it maybe could have got out. And then, yeah, Moonglade now knows everything that's going on. Looks like it's going to be Phoenix into Colossus again. Seems to be Frustration's bread and butter PvZ. It's bread and butter of many players, including Deer, who's probably, I would say, top person in the world right now. Definitely top 3.
Fair enough.
So it's very solid play style.
Going for the +1 ground attacks as well, whilst Moonglade going for the metabolic boosts. So he wants to get that extra Zergling speed, and going for a Observer and a Robo Bay is going to be a nice follow-up. So getting a Phoenix now, probably going to get a critical mass of 3 or maybe even 5 before actually revealing them. But, I mean, the Stargate was already scouted, so I guess you wouldn't want to wait too long.
Yeah, Frustration actually going double Observer. Normally, I know from talking to him, he likes to go, Robo Bay's down, I'm going to build 2 Immortals, and then by the time the Robo Bay is finished, the Immortals are finished, then you can just go straight into Colossus production. But make a couple of Observers, maybe worry of maybe some Burrow play, or something like that, but we know, he didn't at the time, but we know that MoonGlade isn't going for any Burrow shenanigans this game.
Yeah, he's actually going to clear out the rocks in his... Well, actually, no, they're ice, apparently, on this map here. So clearing out the rocks in that bottom expansion will give him that open for the taking, as Frustration just getting his 3rd now.
Yeah, MoonGlade looking to take, that 4th in the back, hyper defensible. He knows the open Phoenix is not going to be any units pushing out to kill him anytime soon, so perfectly safe to do that, and solid play. Making a ton of Hydras so he can start trying to snipe those Phoenix down, and he'll probably transition some other tech fairly soon.
And so, what do you think about Protoss going for the back rock expansion as the 3rd, as opposed to the sort of more forward open one?
Personally, I don't like it, because you have to kill not only the ice at the base, but you've also got to kill the ice blocking the path at the back as well. So it just delays your 3rd by a lot before you can actually take it.
I see it, yeah.
Frustration's taking the one over to the right. I like taking the one close, just down from the main. I take that in every match as my 3rd on this map. Even though it's a bit closer rush distance, but I just feel if you take this base and then the Zerg goes mutas, the walk distance between the 3rd and the main is just huge.
Yeah, that's true. The Phoenix is
and
actually...
it'll take him a long time.
Phoenix is sniping down a handful of drones, and Overseer as well is going to be quite nice. But actually, it looks as though MoonGlade is moving out with a pretty sizable army of Hydras and Lings. He does have Muscular Augments about halfway done, and his range attack finished now. And so there is a bit of an army here for Frustration. Actually calling down that Photon Overcharge, or nice forefield. We're going to slow down the Hydras for now, block them off, but we'll lose a Mothership Core to the Hydra. Colossus, though, is here to party. He's going to look pretty strong here, but the Hydras will try and snipe it down, but these force fields are just very nice.
Yeah, the force field's been good so far, and if MoonGlade hit 20 seconds earlier and that Colossus wasn't able to get over here in time, it'd be very, very dangerous for Frustration.
Oh, he may even lose.
As it stands, the 3rd might actually go down.
Yeah, he lost the 3rd. Now, that's quite surprising. Nice play, because he lost a lot of those, the Hydras and the Lings, but taking the 3rd, it's definitely going to make it worthwhile.
Yeah, it's going to slow Frustration down a lot, and MoonGlade's just taking his 4th behind this, and be feeling pretty strong right now. I'm sure Frustration's feeling the urge to just go across the map and try and kill MoonGlade, but MoonGlade's not going to die to that sort of stuff. He's just going to build units until he knows that, well, Frustration isn't just going to try and kill him.
Yeah, and speaking of units, went for 19 Roaches. I mean, that's quite an interesting move. It's in sort of a backwards way of teching.
Yeah, I think he's just worrying about, if he stays on pretty much pure Hydra, pure Ling Hydra, that sort of stuff, Colossus will just cut through him like a knife through butter. But the Roaches just provide a nice big meat shield to just sit in front and go, oh, shoot me, shoot me.
Yeah, getting the +2 missile attacks and that Roach speed as well, while behind that, Frustration getting the Thermal Lance, not a surprise at all to see. And he's building 2 Colossus at a time, so he has double Robos up now and running.
Yeah, going double Robo. Interesting choice. I think he's planning on going for probably some form of timing with probably 4 Colossus or something like that. I mean, now he's building Immortals out of one of the Robos while the other one's still building a Colossus. But, I mean, MoonGlade's already got up to Hive, he's already got Vipers on the way. If Frustration doesn't build a Templar Archives very soon, I mean, Abducts could just dismantle his army so fast.
Yeah, especially with that many Hydras and with the +2 missile attacks halfway through. Hydras are just amazing against Colossus with the Abduct because they have the range to sort of snipe down those Colossus once they do actually get abducted there. And we are seeing the beginning of some creep spread from MoonGlade, which could have been done a fair bit earlier, but at least now his bases are connected, having a handful of Evos to just give him that consume on his Vipers.
Yeah, definitely. MoonGlade doesn't prioritize his creep spread very high. I think he's more focused on making sure he gets the injects he wants and all that sort of stuff. It's not like when you watch Scarlet play and it's like 12 minutes in the game and creep's already at like the natural base of the opponent and stuff.
Well, there may be an engagement here.
Engage happening here in
oh,
the middle.
Look at those Abducts pulling 4 of those Colossus. He's going to lose 3 of them almost instantly there. That's a huge blow there for Frustration, really needing those Colossus to deal with that large Hydra Roach army.
Yeah, those Abducts were really good. I mean, with the third base being delayed or being killed off, it meant the gas income just didn't come, and then
lost all the Phoenix.
MoonGlade's just playing this out so strongly, and yeah, all the Phoenix gone. Muta switch now back on the cards if MoonGlade wants to play like that. But then again, Mutas didn't work out for him so well in game 1.
He may just snipe down their Nexus, and speaking of sniping, another Colossus gets abducted there. Temple Archives are on the way, but for now, that force fields won't be able to lock down those units, and so MoonGlade is just doing such good harassment there, not really committing to an engagement, but just sort of sniping what he can with the Abduct and then backing off, going for Swarm Host behind that with the Enduring Locust coming out on the way, but Blink now being done for Frustration.
Yeah, such a strong play from MoonGlade. He's going, I'm just going to keep resetting your Colossus count. You're not allowed to have a lot of Colossus. I'm just going to go Swarm Host, and then what you're going to do? So it's looking a good spot for MoonGlade right now, but Frustration definitely not out of it. He's got 3 bases mining, can look to take a 4th fairly soon, and he's finally got his Temple Archives going on the Warp Prism, which will allow him to start harassing MoonGlade back and trying to get some damage done back to him. Do
you think Swarm Host is going to be a better idea compared to going Mutas? Because for me, it seems like, you know, the army of Frustration is all sort of caught up in this third base when the main and the natural is kind of open up for Muta harassment.
Yes, I think what MoonGlade is thinking right now is thinking Mutas are an option, but an option 5-10 minutes down the line. Because just at the moment, if he went Mutas right now, there is a chance, or not a huge chance, but there's a chance that Frustration could just engage and roll right through him. But I mean,
yeah, it's fair enough.
MoonGlade's arm's just looking so scary. Another Abduct, another Colossus dead. My god.
So nice counterattacks all from Frustration to deny the 5th base to those Zealots, and actually warping in quite a large number. He's got 6 of these Zealots going through the drones of the main base. Yeah, that engagement, there was some nice feedbacks on the Vipers, but still didn't stop those Colossus from actually being abducted, having to pull away the drones from the main there. So that's going to be definitely a nice play from Frustration. That's going to really sort of put him back in this game.
Yeah, Frustration's doing like good harass now. Like, he knew where MoonGlade's army was and he punished it, which is perfect, like exactly what he needs to do all the time. Swarm Host almost being left behind and now running back home with the tails between their legs as Frustration's army moves out.
It also sort of secured the 4th base, because when the army had to sort of back away to defend that, it meant that Frustration then put down his 4th, and now his army is sort of around the middle of the map, has those Zonaga towers, well, at least the one on the right hand side, so he has pretty good a vision of what's going on around that 4th.
Yeah, as you were saying, getting the counterattacks done so you can get the 4th down and look to just expand economically further into this game. I mean, he's doing a great job. MoonGlade's now going to start sieging with Locust though. That's probably the issue with the base position he tried to take, that it can be sieged very easily. And MoonGlade can just sit his army there and even expand right next to it and just sit his army there and go, well, what are you going to do about it? Oh my god, the Abducts this game.
Yeah, so he does have 5 Templars, well, it's actually 6 Templars now, and Sonic Storm just finally finishing, so this may turn things around a bit here. Storms could be very nice against these Locusts, but I think Frustration really needs to work on his Colossus positioning, because he just keeps getting them abducted after abduction. And think about it, if he had kept all of them, he'd probably have, what, 6 or 7 Colossus now, and that would be enough to just destroy those Locusts.
Yeah, the amount of money he's just throwing into the Colossus, which are just unfortunately getting killed every time. I mean, he's down 3,000 resources at this point, and that's pretty much all Colossus of resources that he's been losing.
Yeah, definitely.
And MoonGlade's going double spire, setting up for that meter switch, double air upgrades, and then as soon as he trades away his entire army, he just makes a ton of mutas and just, ideally for him, wins the game from there out.
Yeah, so these Locusts are trying to take down the 4th base. They probably won't be able to this time around. Oh, actually, maybe. Oh, just kidding. Yeah, there it goes. Killing that 4th in a single volley. So, definitely a nice victory there for MoonGlade. And maybe the engagement here in the middle lines. More ducks, though. 2 Colossus get taken out. Feedbacks. We're going to take down some of the Vipers, but not in time. Swarm hosts having to retreat. Several of them will get sniped, and that's quite crucial. That kind of makes up almost all the Colossus actually being taken out. Even more of them. The Observer will reveal those burrow Swarm hosts, losing, I think, 6 in that engagement.
Yeah, that was a really good engagement restoration, like the best he could have hoped at that time. But he's got to be careful. I mean, almost all the Swarm hosts are dead at this point, but all the Colossus are now gone as well, and MoonGlade's just making 14 more Swarm hosts. For every one frustration kills, MoonGlade just makes 2 more.
These storms here are quite nice. Actually, not looking too good here for MoonGlade. These Hydras are all so low. There's a pretty scary army here of Stalkers, Immortals, and a handful of Archons, though. A lot more Swarm hosts are on the way. Can he actually defend this army here? The Hydras and Roaches are now cornered against the wall, getting taken out one at a time here. May lose that second base, but in the back line, Swarm hosts are being rallied in, and they're going to be pretty effective, but did lose that natural base there. But having to retreat through the Swarm hosts is going to take a fair bit of casualties there.
Yeah, he got really good damage done with that attack, but he traded practically his entire army for it, so I'm not 100% sure if that was worth it in the end, but I mean, he really does need to do something about MoonGlade's economy right now. I mean, he's happy sitting on 4 base, but I mean, if frustration gets him down to like 2 base or 1 mining base, he can start to really make headway against the army. Yeah,
he's trying to snipe down more and more of these Swarm hosts, really what he needs to do here, but there's just so many Hydras on the field. There is 3 Templars and now 2 Colossus. There's no Vipers on the field, so that should give frustration a lot easier time here.
Yeah, obviously the main problem he's been having so far is every time he builds a Colossus, he just gets abducted and instantly killed, whereas, yeah, now that isn't a problem, so hopefully he can start to build up his Colossus count to something dangerous, so he can actually start to punch through the Swarm host and really run MoonGlade over.
Look at the Army of Frustration in the 2nd and 3rd base. His 4th is free for the taking. That's exactly what MoonGlade's going to do, just muscling it down with Hydras instantly there, and now moving out with the Stalker Colossus army. Locust, though, actually may catch some of these Templars. Got to be careful, Frustration. You don't want to lose them. And the Hydras are trying to back off. The Swarm hosts are borrowing. Stalkers blinking away from that one. Storms will land on a couple of Hydras. Not the best storms, though.
No, not the best storms, but they were good at zoning out and kept Frustration's army alive at that point, because the next wave of Locusts are ready to go. And every Locust is effectively a mini Hydra. Their DPS is exactly the same as a Hydra.
Oh, okay.
So it's effectively like MoonGlade just has an absolutely huge army of Hydras, and most of which are just free.
Yes, Frustration finally now clearing out the ice in that top right expansion. That's going to be fantastic because Swarm hosts aren't going to be able to push down and harass that one there. And so I think we're seeing the 3rd Warp Prism for the game now. Frustration has sort of thrown away a lot of these Warp Prisms to Abducts and Hydras and whatnot. Hopefully he can do a little bit more harassment. There is a lot of spines, though, in that 4th base for MoonGlade, but there aren't really any sort of in the back lines covering the drones. So some sort of like an Archon or Stalker drop on the worker line could be pretty effective. Zealots not so much, because the spines should be able to actually have the range on them if they try to engage.
Yeah, what Frustration could do is look to exploit the 4th base. All it's got there at the moment is 2 Spores. So he could drop Zealots, DTs, whatever he wants,
yeah,
and
the
get
back
a lot
one.
of damage done back there.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, and I mean, the Swarm hosts are so slow, they're not going to be able to get back to defend, and the Hydras would take a bit of time to walk around, but you could at least get some drone kills, probably the Queen, and depending on how much he warps in, he could get the hatch as well.
Yeah, I guess the issue with that, though, is he has to sort of fly through the base, so the Warp Prism would be revealed before getting there. And so it looks as though these Swarm hosts are trying to push out once again, and there's so many Templars, though, and actually a nice number of Colossus. He has 4, which is going to be quite nice. Abducting one of them, though. They will lose one of them, and actually going to lose a handful of these Templars as well.
Yeah, unfortunately, Frustration's control slowing him down a little bit there. I mean, he's just losing so many gas-intensive units over time. I mean, he's almost making his way up to a maxed army, and maybe that's the point where he'll look to engage and try and roll through MoonGlade. But MoonGlade's been sitting maxed for a while, is now just banking money again.
Frustration not being able to deny that 5th base was pretty close with the DTs, but the Vipers and Overseers warded them off in time. Didn't lose the DTs though, which is quite nice, but now getting the +2 air attack and armor, so yeah, I think he's really looking for a muta switch here. He's just waiting until he loses his army. He does have 3,000 minerals and 3,500 gas banked up, so a muta switch could be incredibly deadly here, but they will be engaged by the looks of it. Vipers are moving in, going to abduct 2 of the Colossus. Storms are quite nice on top of those Hydras though, but the Swarm Host should recharge them quite soon. Hydras getting stormed and stormed. That's actually maybe the engagement here. That Frustration is looking for Storm right on top of all of those Swarm Hosts. They're getting taken pretty low, but Frustration having to back off now.
Yeah, he went into that engagement with lots of Templar, lots of Storm, and looked at that was going to be his time to push through, and he got so close to doing it. But now he's only got like 1 Storm left amongst all his Templar. He lost a couple of Colossus, and he got good damage done. He managed to sort of reset the Hydra count and stuff, and got a few Swarm Hosts, and DTs are back in, killing that base again, and MoonGlade's just going to react in time to save it.
Yeah, looks like he will. Your prediction being right as always, and getting 10 more Corruptors. So that's quite a fair bit there.
Yeah, it looks like he's yeah, just gonna go corrupt to Swarm Host, probably fill out with maybe a few more Hydras again. But I mean, he's just looking at just denying the Colossus the entire time.
Yeah.
And just letting the Locust do all his work for him.
And there's still only 4. Frustration getting some more Colossus out now, but I don't think we're going to see any more than 4 because they just keep getting abducted and sniped. And this 4th base here from Frustration is just looking so exposed because the Swarm Host can take that out so easily. I would like to see some more creep spread from MoonGlade. It will give him a lot easier time actually using those Locusts there, but it looks as though Frustration's trying to push out once again. He has got a couple of Zealots mixed in. They probably won't be very effective against the Locusts, but if he can get enough energy onto these Templars, he should be fine.
Yeah, he's looking to try and storm through now. He's looking to actually push through and try and engage. But MoonGlade's got some static defense up now, and he's pushing, but the next wave of Locusts are out. I mean, it's so hard to find the timing in between. Like, you've got to try and kill all the Locusts, and then push in and kill beforehand. And the Storms are great, but MoonGlade's Fiber Micro has just been off the charts this game, and just more Colossus dying every 2 seconds.
Yeah, there's actually a fair bit of Zealots mixed in here, but they're just going to be very ineffective against not only Locusts, but now also the Spines. So there's actually a grand total of 28 Swarm Hosts there in the front line. So I really think some Warp Prism play would be much more effective, because look at the base in the west there from MoonGlade. He's actually moved his spines. That's why the spines are now in that forward base. So there's basically no defenses in not only that west base, but also the one in the corner. So that could definitely be downfall.
I find it interesting he's done that, seeing he's been playing Frustration. The thing Frustration's been doing the entire series is, I'm going to harass you, I'm going to send Zealots at you all the time, and Frustration's making another Warp Prism looking for more harass, because he's having so much trouble fighting this sort of composition head on, that he needs to look to play around it as opposed to through it.
I mean, even in the main base, there's no spines. He could just snipe down all the tech pretty easily if he drops probably just 4 DTs. So, and I guess it's hard for him to obviously know that. He doesn't have the spectating fog of war hacks like we do. But I mean, against Swarm Hosts, you do kind of have to drop. You can't just try and muscle your way through them head on.
Yeah, I mean, another fight. Oh my god, 4 abducts instantly.
Losing it.
And he's lost 2 of the Colossus.
Yeah, and the Templars as well, so now he had that many Colossus. That's kind of how many he needed. He's down to 5 now. I think he had, what, 9 before?
Something like that. He had a crazy amount and is looking to pretty much go for almost a pure Colossus army at this point, but the War Prism's now flying around down to the south, going to come in and probably stop in the main. Might be able to deny the Greatest Spire for finishing, which would be really nice, because MoonGlade's looking like he's going to go for Broodlords to close this out. But here he goes with the Warpin in the main. Oh,
that's fantastic. Look at that.
That's a lot of Zealots.
That's, what, 16,
and
I think, by the looks
of it. For the Greatest Spire.
Good stuff there. Frustration. The Locust won't be able to get to this 4th Nexus here with a huge army defending. He's also going to put down his 6th base as well. So Frustration looks though he's above in bases for now, and this Zealot counterattack is actually fantastic, getting a DT mixed in for extra DPS, doing a great job here taking down the Nexus, and there's just nothing that MoonGlade can do. He has no mobile units. He has Swarm Hosts and Corruptors. That's his entire army. He can't deal with this counterattack.
Yeah, Frustration playing this out really well with the counterattack. The Zealot Warp enemy is still going unchecked, but I mean, what's he gonna do? But yeah, another engage happening. MoonGlade realizing, hey, I'm gonna lose a lot of stuff here. I should probably try and do some damage back. The huge amount of Corruptors just flying around looking for any Colossus they can snipe at this point.
Yeah, they're trying to. The Templars really want to get those feedbacks, but the Locusts are making that quite hard to do so. Got to be careful with that one. The Zealots, meanwhile, though, just marching their way through the tech buildings here. Locusts, they really want to siege this base, and there's just so many Corruptors that Frustration is now backed into the wall here. Nowhere to run for his units, and meanwhile, MoonGlade isn't even letting him trying to stop him from that counterattack there, but he's just going to snipe down more and more of these Colossus. The number is only getting thinned down to 5. A couple of Archons are now being mixed in because he's out of energy on those Templars.
Yeah, Frustration, his Templar kept running forward and dying in that engagement. He lost about 5 to Locust for, he just kept losing them. I mean, the Zealot Warpin's still doing work, but at this moment it's just whether he can actually stop MoonGlade's army from just smashing through all of his bases at the same time.
Yeah, it looks like there's only real one mining base from MoonGlade, and that's the one covered in Swarm Hosts and Spines. They're sort of the one in the corner, but that's basically going to be depleted very soon, where Frustration is mining from 2 bases now, so he's definitely going to be ahead in economy at this stage. And keep in mind, that forward base is the one that's being constantly harassed. He's almost mined that up. There isn't really a lot of minerals left, so by having that really forward base mined out and now having the safe ones actually mining strong, this could definitely turn around for Frustration. He's actually going to move in his army and try and deny more and more of these hatches, but the Swarm Hosts will go to meet them. He's going to lose more of these Templars though, unfortunately. His Templar position isn't the best, but the Swarm Hosts will sort of force the retreat here.
Yeah, Frustration's playing this out really well. If he could just get a little bit tighter control in the Templar and not lose them as much, he'd be in such a good spot right now. But I mean, he's transitioning into some Void Rays in the back to try and deal with the just sheer ridiculous amount of Corruptors that MoonGlade actually has running around.
Oh, more Ducks. He's just losing so many of these Colossus.
Yeah, MoonGlade's micro has been, with the Vipers, has just been top notch this entire time, and just not letting Frustration off the hook and just exploiting any positioning mistakes he makes, any lack of attention, lack of control, and MoonGlade's just using that to his advantage consistently.
MoonGlade's actually lost all his mining bases. There was a DT and a couple of Zealots actually took down that forward hatchery. They're also going to kill all of these Spines, so there's basically no more mining bases for MoonGlade. It's actually long distance mining, but these Locusts are just sort of muscling their way through the base here, killing both of those Stargates, only having 2 Void Rays now on the field. But I think the issue here for Frustration, his Void Rays have no upgrades, and, you know, their Corruptors of MoonGlade have 2-2, so they're going to look pretty strong here. Didn't quite get the 3-3 because the Spires got sniped down, but losing the Nexus as well, almost losing the Nexus. So I still think for now, Frustration is looking pretty strong, just having more mining bases up and running, but still he does have the issue. He can't really take care of these Swarm Hosts.
Yeah, it's just going to come down to one big engagement at this point in time. I mean, Frustration is mining more money, but MoonGlade's not just going to sit back and just let him stay there, and Frustration's running his probes on a suicide mission into MoonGlade's base, apparently.
Yeah, I guess
they're just going to sit there.
Might just want to make up some more supply for Army. That's all I can really think of. Surely.
That's what I think, but I mean, they just killed the Locust, and he's sitting at 167 of 200, so I guess he's probably figured he's not actually going to get another base, and might as well just try and trade out for buildings. And now, drone against probe fight. This is not something you see in every game.
No.
And Locust coming in to make the fight unfair, holy shit.
Trying to take down the spawning pool, but, you know, probes really aren't the best unit of choice when sniping down a spawning pool, but that's okay because the Corruptors and the Swarm Hosts are now moving out to take down this 4th base once again, and so I don't really like the idea of Frustration still trying to build these Colossus. It seems like now it's just sort of a bit too late to try and make these Colossus work.
Yeah, possibly, but I think at this point he's thinking, well, Moonglade's down to 2 hatches worth of production. Like, he can't actually produce very much, and if I can get one big engage and roll through, like, and he's gonna need Colossus to do that. He still has to try and deal with the Swarm Host somehow, and he's got to keep making Colossus. I think he's just gonna end up on pretty much like Colossus Void Ray is what he's looking for at this point in time. Colossus to beat Swarm Host and Void Rays to beat Corruptors, but it's such a gas-intensive unit composition. And I mean, he's still got like a few gases mining at the moment. He's got 3 mining. He's still getting a bit of gas, but he's just running out of bases to take and places to go. And there's a Hydra Den in the middle of the map, which is about to die very
Yeah,
quickly.
and the thing is with MoonGlade, he has 8,000 minerals in the bank here, so he isn't really mining much, but it doesn't even matter. He can just remax easily on that. Yeah, he may lose more Templar to the Locust, though. That keeps happening. He has to burn the Storms there. There isn't really a lot of gas for MoonGlade. I guess the Swarm Hosts are pretty gas heavy, but he just has a ridiculous amount of minerals.
Yeah, he's got absolutely the same amount of minerals, but I mean, yeah, unfortunately, Lings aren't really going to do much for him at this point. He needs, like, more gas-intensive units, and he's been building so many Swarm Hosts, so many Corruptors that, yeah, and all the tech sniping and all the attempts at rebuilding the tech has just really actually drained his gas banks so hugely that frustration's now starting to build up to an army which maybe can actually win in this game.
Yeah, denying the gas is going to be quite crucial. There is that hatch finally now rebuilt, so there's going to be a bit more gas income here for MoonGlade. As his Locust made a snipe in the Nexus again, they should be fine for now, but one more volley will take that out. The Swarm Hosts are a bit far away. I don't think they can go that far. So Frustration really needs to hold on to these bases. He still has that one in the top right corner, but yeah, this forward 5th base is going to be incredibly crucial here. As the kind of the 6th base in the left corner, it looks like it's going to be either man's game at this stage.
Yeah, I'm just looking at Frustration's army and positioning right now, and the way MoonGlade's playing, it's like it's all going to be about the counterattacks. Like, he could actually go for like a base race style scenario, because MoonGlade's now going to sit on this base and guard it with his life, and there is a Zealot counterattack going to kill that lair made over to the west. There's still the hatch to the south can be killed, and then the few buildings hanging around in the main and the natural, and like he could look at actually going same as game 1 and just literally killing MoonGlade through his buildings as opposed to the army.
Yeah, that's true. So we do see 7 Colossus now. That's going to give him pretty good numbers at killing these Locusts. They're getting slaughtered pretty fast, but there are still the Vipers and the Corruptors on the field, so you've got to be very careful with this Colossus positioning. There isn't really a lot of Void Rays. There's 6, so he's sort of getting more and more now, and he's trying to make something happen with these Void Rays and Colossus, or the Vipers and Colossus rather, so the Locusts actually moving in. We might see some more abducts here. There we go, actually abducting the Void Rays instead. Not exactly a bad choice either.
Yeah, I think Void Rays are safer for him to abduct right now, because they're going to be further up the front than Colossus because of the range difference and the less chance of the feed pass getting off on MoonGlade's Vipers. I mean, he's probably just looking at this like, I just need to just slowly whittle away, and eventually he will have to run out of money. But I mean, this game's got pretty crazy again. I mean, they're both barely mining again. I mean, Frustration's sitting on like 1.5 bases with a little bit of extra gas. MoonGlade's just sitting on that one base and not wanting to give it up ever. But MoonGlade now looking to move out with his army again to put pressure back on Frustration's bases. Now he's got enough static defense to stop probably about 20 or 30 Zealots from killing that base.
Yeah, there was basically a counterattack that almost killed it before, and that would have been very, very nice, because that would have got rid of the entire gas income for MoonGlade. The Locusts are trying to push out once again, but there's so many Colossus here, they won't really be able to do much. But actually, losing one of the Colossus to is kind of poor positioning. But yeah, couldn't like MoonGlade just get like a ridiculous amount of spine crawls? Like, he'd have to, you know, have enough pop cap to get the drones, but then just having a lot of spines, because he doesn't really have any other way of spending the minerals, and spines seem like the best way to me for him to actually go through that bank.
Yeah, well, he's stuck with only 21 drones right now, and he's using all this lava for more Corruptors.
Okay.
So I'm sure he has that mineral bank, but he just doesn't actually have the drones to make it, nor the lava to make drones to make the spines. So he's kind of stuck in that situation. Frustration's going for a huge move out with Storms here, looking to try and kill this base. Zealot's running in. He used up quite a few Storms there to try and get the engage, but the next wave of Locust out, and he's pulling back now, feeling like he probably couldn't take that fight, even though he may have been able to actually snipe down the hatch and leave.
Yeah, I think Frustration's going to go for this 6th base. Now, I've lost count of how many bases there actually are. He's out of minerals, though, so he can't actually afford it. That's a bit of an issue. He has to sort of long-distance mine in order for him to actually be able to afford that Nexus. So it's going to take him quite a while, but here come the Engage here, ducting several of those Colossus. Storms doing a bit of damage there to the Corruptors, but just not enough, and losing another Colossus to some Locusts. So now all of a sudden, only 2 Colossus. That's a huge blow for Frustration. Now he can't really comfortably deal with that many Locusts with only 2 Colossus.
Yeah, well, he's now got to rely on Storms to get through Locusts, which means he can only take it, like, he's time limited on his engagements. Every time he takes an engagement, he has to then wait a while until he has Storm again. He's making Archons at the moment for a bit more consistent splash damage, but Archons really don't do that well against Locust in the end, because the Locust DPS is just so insane that the Archons die very, very quickly.
Yeah, actually not going for that base, but rather, yeah, building Archons. And he's going to have to cancel that next. He doesn't want to let that finish, but actually, yeah, cancelled it. That's nice there. So I think we are seeing a counter-attack by the looks of it. The Swarm Hosts are... they're burrowing out now. He could grab a nice angle here. Going to deny that base in the corner is quite nice. That's going to be a bit crucial there. Just for the gas, the minerals are pretty much depleted, but there still is a fair bit of gas there. The Colossus may get intercepted here. The Locusts are moving in, and there's just that many Corruptors now. We have 36 on the field. They can take care of those Void Rays, no problems at all.
Yeah, the Corruptor counts. I mean, 36 Corruptors, 27 Swarm Hosts, 3 Vipers. I think MoonGlade's pretty much just going to sit on this army composition until this game is over. He doesn't want to change, and more Templar being lost, even though there were good Storms on the Locust there. It's just such a hard engagement. Frustration's taken huge engagement happening now.
This may be it here. The Void Rays are actually charging up. The Storms going through the Locust, but not the Swarm Hosts themselves. There's just so many Corruptors, though. He's trying to dodge the Storms, didn't quite land. You got to be careful with that many splashed up Corruptors. You can lose the Storms pretty damn hard, abducting more and more of these Colossus. The Swarm Hosts, they're looking strong. None of them got taken out, and Frustration pretty much lost his entire army here. He's going to lose the rest of his Colossus, and now 73 supply against 175 supply and 8,500 minerals in the bank. Definitely not looking good for Frustration.
Yeah, well, if you actually look at army supply, it's 160 to 33. Like to 30.
Oh, damn.
So, I mean, Frustration's sitting on 40 probes, but he's only got, like, 1 mining base now. He's got some idle probes sitting around because he just doesn't actually have anywhere else to mine. He'd run out of all his splash apart from a few Storms. Like, his only chance right now is to kill every building that MoonGlade has, and I just don't think he has the army left to do it anymore.
No, because you also need to kill, like, gas extractors. You can't win by just killing hatches and everything. And, yeah, it's going to take a while to kill every single gas extractor. So this is just looking incredibly dull right now for Frustration. He does actually have that base in the corner, which is quite nice. But it looks as though Frustration is going to take that out with this wave of Locusts here.
Yeah, this wave of Locusts will be enough to just focus down the Nexus and stop all mining. And now Frustration's stuck with 100 minerals and 30 gas. He's gonna push in and take out this rebuilding mace from MoonGlade. He'll do it, and hopefully he can maybe kill all the buildings there, but now he's gonna run away because the Locusts have returned as well. He's just stuck in between a rock and a hard place right now, and everywhere he goes there's Locusts to defend, and he just can't fight them anymore.
Nah. So I think this is gonna be game over here for Frustration. Again, losing another Templar to those Locusts. So the Swarm Hosts are moving forward now, but the army from Frustration is just so pitiful in comparison. I'm not going to land any of those Storms. He may get a couple here now on the Swarm Host. He's going to need to get a few of them consecutively. Actually, he may kill a couple of Swarm Hosts. Nope, doesn't even kill them. Even if he did, I mean, you know, you can just rebuild them.
It takes 2 and a bit full Storms to kill a Swarm Host.
Yeah, and
it takes a lot.
A lot of Protosses, they kind of like overstorm, and they don't like... If they don't stack, of course, so sometimes this is going to get a bit wasted.
Yeah, I mean, even if he did storm them, like... Yeah, I mean, yeah, he has to be able to stand there and storm for, like, over 20 seconds, which just isn't going to happen, because there's going to be Locusts running at his Templar, like, before the second storm is done, so... It's a nice way, it's a nice way to think about killing Storm Host, but you need the Colossus there for the extra, like, AoE DPS on top of them as well, and then Storm becomes really useful, but by itself it just doesn't get the work done, unfortunately.
Stalkers are going to clear out these Hydras here, which will prevent the base for now at least. But I mean, if he goes for that base, it'll again just get taken out by these swarm hosts. And so I think Frustration is just holding on. It's very grim for him. But again, this is the last match in their best of 5 series, so the stakes are high. So Frustration doesn't want to give up just you know, at the first whim that he feels like he's going to lose. But at this stage, yeah, I think it's going to be a matter of time.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, Frustration, he doesn't actually have an observer, nor does he have money to make an observer. So, in terms of seeing the swarm host, they're always going to be invisible
there we
to
go,
him.
GG.
And there it is, the GG.
Calling the good luck as well. So, look, it was looking incredibly good for Frustration at one stage when he... Whoops. I think I hit something. When did actually take out, like, all of the bases of MoonGlade, and all of a sudden MoonGlade had no real income. He didn't really have any hatches for production or tech, but there was just no way Frustration could really deal with those the swarm hosts, and I guess that's because the abduct micro of MoonGlade was just so good, and without those Colossus count, then you just couldn't really deal with them.
Yeah, that one major warp in the main where he just started running through taking all the bases. If only he could have kept that going onto the other bases as well, and then really started to push MoonGlade down, so he was just on the one base with buildings. And then, like, what does MoonGlade do? He can't push out, because if he pushes out, like, Frustration can just counter and kill the base, and then MoonGlade's dead. So Frustration would have been free to expand to the entire map, mine the whole map, and then play from there on out. I mean, yeah, the main difference between the two guys, they both played it out smartly, but it was just that abduct micro. Just better micro from MoonGlade across the 56 minutes of this game saw him through in the end.
Yeah, so that was pretty intense there. So I think that'll wrap this one up, and good luck to these players in their next tournaments. And I believe we have, what, the Asus ROG tournament, I think you said, coming up soon?
Asus ROG is playing this weekend. It's the last sort of major international tournament. The C tournaments, there's just weeklies. For anyone who wants to watch Australian play, there's just weekly tournaments for a bit, up until ACL gets started up next year, but hopefully we'll give everyone time to rest, recuperate, and train, and Australia will just come back with stronger play next year.
Like you, yourself, isn't that right?
Yes, I'm going to do awesome next year, I've decided.
Hooray!
And me deciding is the only thing that needs to happen, of course.
Of course.
Apart from me not to be bad at the game anymore.
Alrighty, well until next time, I am Onuge Machine of the GeneralsGentlemen.
And I'm Exile 5 Army.
Thank you for watching, and be sure to like the GeneralsGentlemen Facebook page to follow our content. Fare thee well.